It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
All right, it's the HAMTAG crew.
HAMTAG!
There we go, HAMTAG from the Dice Tower. Real quick, I've got permission to do a little side plug. A good buddy of mine named Scott and we do reviews on Scotch. It's also kind of a comedy show. It's called Scotch Test Dummies. And we would love for you guys to just go check it out. Just go do a search for Scotch Test Dummies, and you'll see that what we're trying to do there is, it's as if you're hanging out with my buddy and we're just having a nice, cool little banter that we usually do on our own. And we're reviewing a different Scotch every time. So go check out Scotch Test Dummies, and you can hang out with us there. But on this...
Is it like having Scotch with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost?
Yeah, without us being as cool and with some goofy banter.
Yeah, there is that.
Yeah, okay. I had one person told me in the comments on there that we reminded them of the Sonic guys, which I did not.
Oh,
yeah, the guys that are always like,
"That's too bad."
Yeah, do you want some cheese with that? And I'm thinking,
you're probably the driver.
Oh, I don't know. God, yeah, I didn't take it as a positive, although they meant it that way. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, they meant it as like, you guys are funny. Now my buddy Scott did say that, hey, they, as actors go, they've had like those ads for 5 years now. So they said there must be something. Yeah, there must be something going on there. So
well, when you're like George Costanza and Worlds Collide, worlds are colliding, Jerry.
No, I did have a guy also put on that it's like Seinfeld with the chatting. So that was awesome.
Okay. So when the worlds collide, you can review Hammer the Scotch.
I do push board games on there occasionally because my buddy mocks me for it. But regardless, all right. So, but this is going to be introductory war games. We were asked by viewers to actually review our top 5 introductory to war games, and someone sneaked a peek at my list and was already like aghast with what I had on there. So again, we'll kind of define what we think an introductory to war games is as we go along. And why don't we start with you, Judd?
Okay, my number 5 is Operation Battle Axe. I don't know if it's Wavell versus Rommel, 1941. Designed by Michael Reinella, come out this year, I believe, maybe last year. Published by combination Take Aim Designs and Revolution Games. It is what I think is the best introduction to the area impulse system. Created by Storm Over Arnhem. The reason why I could go Storm Over Stalingrad, because it's got like 6 pages of rules, is real easy. This one is too. This one uses Breakout Normandy's system, if you're familiar with it. If not, you should get familiar with it because it's used a lot of places. Not War But Murder, Monty's Gamble, all kinds of places. Anyways, this is a great way to get into. When I saw Breakout Normandy, I see people talk about how bad the rule book is. When I read it, it's like, I'm a simpleton. I struggle with rules. I had no problem with it. The reason why is because I started with Not War But Murder. Started easier and stepped up. This is the best way to start even easier. Very challenging, great game, very fun, simple. Takes like an hour to set up, play, and take down. And by one of the best area impulse designers, Michael Reinella, was probably, he might have done more than anybody else, but he's definitely like the king of it right now and one of my favorites. So that's my number 5, Operation Battle Axe. Kind of hard for me to find. I was going to say, if you look for it, try the website. Revolution Games. That's how I ended up grabbing my copy, and it's quite affordable too. So that's my number 5. Are you saying
that it sounded like you were saying that there are area movement games and then there are Breakout Normandy games?
Oh no. Well, if you played Storm Over Arnhem, it's a lot different than Breakout Normandy. They're both area impulse, but the defense modifiers in each area, you know, like the +3 to your defense, and the combat systems are completely different. And this one is quite a bit different from this. Well, the Breakout Normandy is a lot different from Storm Over Stalin. There's some commonalities amongst them, but the system, I've noticed, Breakout Normandy, Birth of a Legend, Monty's Gamble, these games all have a real similar system to them.
Okay.
And that's what I call them. Breakout Normandy is the first to do it, I believe. I think and the casino game, Thunder at Casino, was the first to do the modifiers. But Breakout Normandy brought in a whole different system. I mean, took it to the next level, and it's kind of the...
So you are saying that they are different. Okay.
But they're all area impulse. You can definitely see the similarities. It's like card-driven games. There's Empire of the Sun's a lot different from Twilight Struggle, but they're all card-driven.
I could see a whole different argument there, yeah.
I just
you could compare them to Candyland.
No, because Candyland is not a
There
character.
you go. I know. Sorry, we won't go down this road. There's been enough discussion. All right. My number 5, and I'm going to intro this in a little bit. When I'm talking introductory war games, what I've seen, me personally, and I know I'm going to probably differ from these two gentlemen, is that I'm looking for something that's going to capture the kind of the imagination of the person that may bring them in. I would explain that with describing a game, but it's going to be much further down on my list. So I'll kind of explain that further then. But I'll just start with Memoir 44 or any of those. Those have, what is it, Borg?
Memoir 44, Battle Cry,
Yes.
Battle Lore, Command and Colors,
Ancients.
Command and Color Ancients,
Yes.
Command and Color Napoleonics.
Right, thank you.
He has another game on like samurai battles, but I never
Right.
played it.
What I do with those is I find someone that's interested in one of those themes. You know, they're a typical, maybe they're a Euro gamer, maybe they're just party games. And they see something on my shelf, and they'll usually, I'm talking about the kind of person that usually says, "Ooh, you play war games?" And I go, "What do you mean, ooh?" And it's usually that they haven't been exposed to something. So what I try to do is say, you know, or maybe I know something that they like. Hey, you're a big fan of the Civil War. Battle line might be your thing. And they'll say, really? You know, it kind of pulls that off, and I'll usually use that to come in. So any of those games with the simple, hey, I've got these cards in my hand and I can only move the guys in the left, center, right, or all, or whatever, you know, card you have. And it's I just use it as that, hey, this is it's light in this case, but it's going to bring you in a little bit to the hobby and maybe speak to you in an individual way. So that's what my entire list is going to do. It's going to actually maybe hit a little niche somewhere,
Okay.
or ignite somebody, and kind of like you started to go down the road of war games by getting into some different eras with the Romans and
Yeah,
things
that
from
was the
game
game that
shooters.
got me hooked.
So that's where my list will be coming from, and that's
Okay.
it. So Memoir 44 or those of that ilk.
There was one thing I would not consider Command and Colors Ancients or Napoleonics introductory. It's quite. See, I was an experienced memoir player when I got introduced to it, and I've been around the block a time or two on war games. I couldn't get a hold of it the first time. The whole battle back, support, things like that. It was. And then you have different green guys. Okay, he doesn't get swords. He does get swords. Things like that. It was quite. Now it's much richer than the others, outside of maybe Napoleonics, but it was quite a jump from memoir to that.
Which is why Memoir 44 is the one I've listed.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, if someone said, "Oh, I'm not a World War II fan, but I like this," then I would maybe try to go with that.
I see folks recommend a lot on introductory war games questions on the war game forum, and I always shake my head because it's like it's 24 pages of GMT rules. It's too much for somebody coming
is?
from Ancients,
Oh,
coming
yeah.
from
Yeah.
Euro World or whatever. I play Risk, but I said ease into it, get familiar with this, and move your way up. But yeah, Battle Lore, Battle Cry,
Yeah.
or that, they're all great.
And I'm going to go with Bart on this one. I think the thing that is going to make a better introductory game is if it's a theme that they're interested in. I think if you've got a gamer who has more interest in, for whatever reason, Napoleon, I think the Command and Color Napoleonics is going to be just as good, maybe even a better introductory game, because that's going to be somebody that already, he may just know that there's muskets and bayonets and horses and cannons.
Or he may know the box, and he may know.
Well, I'm talking about the fact that he knows he's interested in the theme because of something outside the game.
Totally.
And I don't think that those other expanded mechanics keep it from being an intro game, because I think the main thing that a person is going to be drawn to is the theme.
See, I would instead go with Napoleon's War by Worthington, which is quite a bit. It's a hold the line system. If they were Napoleonics, it's quite a bit I like to work my way up, but I'm learning Napoleonics now, playing Vassal, and I keep having to go back and study that card. What's this guy do? What can he do? And it's been a little bit of a
part of
climb.
what I look for is, like, let's say someone was very well read on the Napoleonic era, or they loved the wooden ship and battle and sail, so I would bring something out on that line, because the only thing I'm looking for at that point is, do the mechanics make sense to the theme? If there's something that's real wonky, it's going to then maybe even break it for them, and they'll go, well, that's not how it was. That would be the only place where mechanics would come in.
Okay, my number 5 introductory game is Napoleon, the Waterloo campaign game. I know there's a new version of this out. This is a very elementary block game. It can be played 2 or 3 player. You've got the British, the Prussians, the French. You're just moving around. There's road movement around Belgium, and then there is some tactical combat, so that cannons do things, infantry do things, cavalry do different things. You get a representation of the tactical combat of the time. It's not realistic, and then you roll some dice to take a few hits. So this is a good game for introductory, the strategy of moving things around the map, the tactics of what do I do with these different kind of pieces. And so for me, this what I've heard is that the new version has got terrain added onto it. That's fine too. To me, this is a good introductory game, again, for somebody if they're interested in this, but it's a good start for the block game genre. Napoleon, the Waterloo Campaign.
Okay.
That'll make Grant happy too.
Okay, my number 4 is Axis. Won't spill. I emptied the box.
Hey.
My number 4 is Axis and Allies Pacific. There is a Pacific 1940 that come out. I don't know if it's the same thing. You'd have to ask the A&A crowd. I got this in a trade a few months ago. Very impressed with it. It came out in 2001. I don't know if it's in print. I checked eBay last night, actually this morning. I'm seeing them go for 28 to 35 bucks. Very affordable. This one here, what I liked, when I played Axis and Allies back in the 80s when it first came out, and I think it's unfair to call it Risk with plastic because it's quite a bit more involved in Risk. But at the same time, the whole conquer the capital thing that makes the games go on indefinitely, and when America's building production facilities in China back in 1945 as opposed to now, or 1941, a bit absurd. There's some stuff, and there was no island hopping going on in this thing. Basically, Japan tried to put Russia on 2 front wars. It wasn't catching me historically, so it kind of kept me away from the series a lot. This one here, I'd love it. It's short for starters. It's not, you can try to do the capital thing. Japan's never going to conquer DC, but it's based on a victory point system. And if Japan hits 25, they win. If they ever get 0 in a turn, they're going to get so many per turn, the Allies win. The way Japan gets them is conquering Dutch East Indies, Burma, China. They're going for the traditional routes. So without trying to create a bunch of fiddly rules, you get the historical results that you're looking for. You know, they're going to go for New Zealand, try to work towards Australia to get those victory points. They're also going to do the hedgehog strategy. Go out so far, maybe get 3 victory points a turn, then try to hold on for dear life. The Allies can't do this. We're just going to build up this massive juggernaut in America and just steamroll you, because all along Japan's getting victory points. If you wait too long, 12 turns, it's going to be over.
What is play length?
The opening turn's a little harder for Japan to think through it. I'd say 3 hours maybe. Okay. If you really knew what you was doing, it could probably go faster. Gorgeous plastic in it. Always a good thing. If you're somebody who's come from like the Risk world and wanted to take a jump into war games, this is pretty good, because you're going to get a great historical feel on a grander scale, and it's not going to go on all night like the Axis and Allies 1983 game is. And like I said, it does just a great job with the history. It's like super simple version of like Empire of the Sun, but you're still shooting for the same objectives. And that's what I really dug about it, was that the objectives were all there, and it was in a very natural, easy fashion. That's my number 4, Axis and Allies Pacific.
My number 4 is 1775 Rebellion, from Academy Games, Stronghold? Academy, sorry. I'll make 2 people mad with that statement. It's got blocks in it. It's 1775, stems from the 1812 game that came out first from Academy Games. And I like it for a couple reasons as an introductory game. The look of it brings over some Euro players. They see that there's cubes moving around. It's really kind of an area control game. This one's much more, 1775 is much more in your face than 1812 because you can drop your reinforcements in on colonies that you have control of. So the conflicts kind of pop up. They kind of burst up in different areas, whereas 1812 is more in maneuver. It's simple as an introductory side because you're limited to the cards in your hand. And you can't really do too much, and there's nothing that overwhelms anybody. And then you've got the kind of a chip pull system, but they use the cubes that come down that determine turn order, and it scales fairly well. It's great as a 2-player game, but it could handle 3 or 4 very well too. And I've seen some people that normally wouldn't play kind of wander over, sit down. I can put them in as even in a 1-on-2 or a 2-on-2 game and really kind of work them through it. And it works well for me as an introductory level. Again, it does help if folks are liking that Revolutionary War period.
What's your opinion of this and 1812 for 2 and 3 versus 4 players?
The only thing, it's really best as a 2-player game.
Best as 2?
I would say 2-player game, because I personally think that when you're only playing, for me, when you're playing one faction, the thing they do is if your cubes are with different in different areas on the map, if you work it right, as long as one of my colored cubes, if I'm the militia for the American militia, I can move other units that contain other groups as well.
Right.
So that is something that's nice with 4, but I find it breaks out so much that it gets to be too light for me.
Okay.
And that's just for me, but I think it works well for teaching it because, hey, you and I are on the same side, and this is what do you want to do? And that's the part where I like it. But for me, pure gameplay for enjoyment is 2-on-2.
Okay. A second thing, an opinion here is, as a beginner game, as an introductory war game, the thing I've found with these games is the play is so much more enjoyable the second and especially the third time through the game, because you have some idea of what those cards are going to do. The first time, nobody takes the time when you're learning a game. Yeah. Nobody takes the time to explain these are what all of these cards that are coming are going to do. Right. So you end up being surprised and realizing, oh, if I had done this before, I could have done this now, which I think makes the game more enjoyable. So that's the only reason why, as an introductory, you're exposing them to the mechanics. That's great. Now, this might be a little controversial. Our group has experienced for both of these games that the last person to move in a game wins an overwhelming number of the games. Do you find that?
I played mostly with you. Usually we've got it's either kind of blasting the other guy away, where it's just like, wow.
Yeah, so that would mean that the person who moves last doesn't.
Right, yeah, I would say I haven't seen that, but I know exactly what you're saying, because you've got that chance to have that double pull, and if you're moving both of your units last. And
that hasn't been, not double pull, just whoever pulls the last chit wins, is what I have observed and heard.
All right. But
if that's not the case, that's
I haven't seen that. I get nervous when I know, hey, they're going to get 2 turns in a row on me, and am I going to be able to pull off my thing? Okay. And a lot of times it'll break my plan. What are your thoughts?
We have played.
We did a lot of 1812.
We did a lot of 1812, only one to 1775. Yeah. But I don't know. Generally, they've been so close to being draws when we play. And we haven't got far enough into the game where we played, where we can get the piece cards going. So we've played some abbreviated
treaties,
games.
You mean?
Huh? The treaty cards.
Yeah, because the treaters are what end up making it end. You can
end it earlier.
Bad boy, right? Yeah. That's the key. That's why I always fear when they get the double turn that they might be able to pull it off and then hit you with that last treaty card.
All right.
So cool.
Very good. My number 4 is a little more complex than most. This is Combat Commander. Any of the versions I think would play. The reason why I picked it, again, this goes back to the discussion we had earlier about theme. The idea of World War II soldiers shooting at each other, machine guns, hitting the side of buildings, is something that people can identify with. And in this game, I know a lot of people don't like the lack of control, but as far as a learning game, the cards tell you what you can do. The cards tell you whether you can move, or whether you can fire, or whether you can move one space, whether you can call in a radio. And so that's why I think it's a good introductory game for anybody that has a grasp of the old TV show Combat. In that sense, I think it's even easier than something like Advanced Squad Leader, because there you have to come up with your own plan of what you're going to do. Here, the cards tell you what you're going to do. I think after this, you're going to move on to more complex games. You're not going to stop your tactical World War II combat here, but I think this makes it good. The scenarios are interesting. That's one of the problems that I've observed with some of the tactical games, is they've got some scenarios that are so insipid, just so you can teach the mechanics, but the scenario itself doesn't have any interest. After you play it once, you throw it away. Sometimes you throw the game away at the same time. But I think this has good scenarios. It's got a good design your own scenario. Once you get up to that, the rules are pretty clear cut. If you've got the Hollywood version of World War II in your head. So Combat Commander is my number 4 introductory war game.
I love the old Combat series. Vic Morrow.
And Rick Jason.
Yes, loved them. Now, didn't you have, I figured you were going to have something to say about Combat Commander.
No.
Really? Okay. Usually he does. He doesn't like the fact that somebody could rush across a field and you can't fire at them. Isn't that what you usually say?
Yeah, the bigger, cornier thing to me was
Now we go.
what I call shooting bullets at the sun at the end of the game, because the sun's scared of bullets and will set faster and end your game. But no, I love the chaos part of it. Some of the tactical, I'm one of the tactics. I was more of a Band of Brothers guy because it stresses the tactics, but the chaos is actually pretty cool, the sniper.
And again, it was not on my list of best war games.
Yeah.
It's on my list of introductory war games.
Didn't you buy every Combat Commander game there is?
He is a completist,
No. I bought the original, and I'm perfectly happy with it.
I would actually.
The one thing I would like is that when they came out with the second one with the Mediterranean,
Yes.
they put the objective markers on the larger, 5/8 inch counters instead of on the 1/2 inch counters. Every time I go to like WBC, where sometimes GMT will have a little parts table set aside, I look to see if they've got extra parts for Combat Commander, but not yet.
I would actually like to play the Pacific one. I think it's a real interesting topic to cover, but Greg won't buy it, and I'm not going to. So my friend Aaron has, but I haven't been able to get him to teach me yet.
And WBC World Board Gaming Championships.
In August in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Yes.
It was Lancaster.
Where is it?
Lancaster.
And he's just
Lancaster?
hitting on your pronunciation.
Okay. Hey, I'm the guy.
There's a lot of there's Amish nearby.
There has Worcestershire sauce on it.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay, my number 3 is A House Divided by Frank Chadwick was the designer. This is the Phalanx version. Mayfair has a newer version. They've taken it over. I'm hoping you can throw a picture of it on the screen. It has like Lincoln doing this on the cover, just so if you see this box and say, I don't see it in the store. Great introductory Civil War game. First one I ever played. I knew extremely little about the Civil War. I knew who won. I knew a couple generals' names. Heard of a couple of battles. Shiloh, had no idea who won it. Stuff like that. So what was really cool was when I'm playing this game, I was the Union. I ended up doing the historical objectives. I mean, I went right down first and took New Orleans, went right down the Mississippi and took control of it. The end battle was something that represented Cold Harbor. I mean, he was entrenched into Richmond, and it was a bloodbath. And it was 1865 last turn, and I barely won the thing. I'd done amphibious invasions. I kind of did a reversal of Sherman's march to the sea. I started at the sea and burned my way to Atlanta. But you catch an awful lot of that. Real simplistic buckets of dice system in there. Simple movement. I think it's got 3 or 4 pages of rules, and then it has like 2 more for optional if you want to look at foreign intervention, and like 2 more for leaders. I don't think any of that stuff adds anything over the basic game. It's not worth the fiddliness of it. Basic game hits it all. Super simple, real easy, and just a great system. It's been around since '81. So like something I said about Rommel, when a game's been around that long, and the Napoleon game you had, you know there's something to them, and they're still going strong and still making
a lot of reprints.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
So that's my number 3, A House Divided.
You just think that's good for someone that says, hey, I like Civil War?
Yeah, you love Civil War. This is definitely the place to start. If you want a grand strategic. Now, if you want battles, Battle Cry. But if you want to play the whole Civil War and you're not ready for the People or something like that, which, that's quite a heavy game, this is the way to go. It's the easiest grand strategic game I've seen on it, especially for 2 players.
All right, I think this might have been the one you saw on the list.
One of them.
Yeah, I figured this next one. I have Cuba Libre on here. Now it's part of the coin series, Volko Rimke. By the way, my wife's going to be moving around in the back. We've taken over the house, so she's of course still allowed to go get food if she wishes. So you may see her moving around in the back. Please let that distract you. Cuba Libre brings in the coin series, which is counterinsurgency. Now the reason I have it on here, and it is complex, but if you have a good teacher, all right, Greg is the good teacher. I think if someone, it's the idea that it brings the current conflicts to life is what I like about it. And they're not quite there yet on what I think a game further down on my list has managed to do. We'll talk about that then. But I've even seen in the forums, there's a lot of talk as there's more and more expansions under this coin system. There's a guy that's called for, he calls it a Star Wars. I'm sure they couldn't do that license, but a Star Wars version of it. It's in the future. That was like dancing.
It's like our man Flint.
Yes. It calls for in the forums, they were talking about someone could be the Hutts, someone could be the Rebel Alliance, someone could be the Empire, someone could be the Jedi. And I think if the coin series were to go down that road, especially if he's able to step away from having to hit historicals, which he does great in his system, I think it has a chance to do what maybe Twilight Struggle did. The card play is very, very unique, very nice system, and it just gives the ability to kind of bring someone into that asymmetrical kind of play. I know it's difficult, but again, if someone has a good teacher, I think it's something that's there on an introductory level.
It might be the best intro to the coin system.
Yeah, that's why I picked Cuba Libre, because I think at least currently it probably is the best intro, but I haven't played
for those the thing.
Distant Plane.
I guess I'd go. It's good introductory. The card play, the mechanics of what you do on the cards. Either for those of you who aren't familiar with the system, basically there's one card in play, and you see the next card, so you know what's coming. And then on any card, you can either take your actions, and every one of the 4 players has got a different choice of actions, or you can do what the event is on the card. So it is limited to play the game. You only need to know your set of mechanics. The play does go pretty quickly, because a lot of times, you see this card and you could do something, but I'd rather do something on the next card. So I will pass. So the game does move along very quickly. The only problem I've got with these being introductory games is a lot of times, and some games are worse than others, the victory conditions, the things you're trying to do, and how they interact with the other people can really lead to analysis paralysis. Well, let's see, I can get support here, but if I get support here, then he gets population control over here, and he gets resources over there. How does what I do? Do I need to hurt him more than I help myself? And those kind of decisions can slow down the game,
Completely.
especially for somebody that isn't familiar with a multiplayer game.
When they're first in, well, you do a good job. When you have someone that you even think is going to struggle a little bit, I noticed your knowledge of gameplay, you will give them the faction that's going to be the easiest to do. Like, I think in Andean Abyss, you usually have them play the Auk or the Fark. I can't remember.
I think
it's the Auk, isn't it?
Yeah, because they have some instant kill capabilities, right?
And that's what I like on it, is that you can kind of say, hey, you're very experienced once you play the government. They've got a lot of things they've got to do. Why don't we put, nothing against you, but why don't we put you with the Auk? And you'll even give that person a little bit of idea. You'll like real quick, you'll say, you know what they really want to do is mess with this, and they do that by this. And if you're ever unsure what to do, that's probably the thing you want to push to. And you're real good on that. And then what I like on the system is that I will tell people, this is one way, a distant plan. I haven't played it yet. I've read a lot about it. I look forward to playing it. But I've been reading where people will play the Taliban, and they're doing bad Taliban things. They're doing, terrorism. But the idea that you understand almost the geopolitical thing of what terrorism is doing for them, not that it's a nasty, mean thing. Why do the Taliban do it? And within the game context, you start to see why they do it. Whether or not that's pulled off perfectly or not, but I think it's a good way for someone to sit down. Like, I love to sit down with people that have completely different political or even religious views from me, and just hear kind of what they say. And this game, or this series of games, allows you to understand why the FARC maybe do what they do.
Okay.
So that part is what I like about the system, and the way I've seen you teach it. You're able to let them step in, and if they say, wow, that's a lot to handle when you're done, and I don't know, my brain's burning from the Auk, they may not come back, or they may be intrigued by that system and say, hey, I want to try the government next time.
And I guess you're right, because we just got done with some other gamers here in town and got them through. We walked through Cuba Libre, and then we did Andean Abyss, and then we finished up with Distant Plain. They hadn't seen it, and by the end it was, I want to get that. Mm-hmm. So
that's where I come from.
I guess I would just say, man, if you got somebody who hasn't played war games, and that's where, again, this might just be our definition of introductory war game.
You're the different guy today.
Yeah, I'm the oddball.
He's the CDG guy.
Yeah, I think the coin system has the possibility, like Twilight Struggle does, for someone to say, you know what, I've heard that's interesting to me, that I might actually play the Taliban and not like what they're doing, but understand even on a real sense in the real world why they do what they do. And when it hits that level, to me, it has a specialness to it that's kind of unique.
So these games are to give you the sum of all understanding. Okay, got it.
I have a question about the coin system.
Sure.
I've played Cuba Libre, the only once with you guys. And I was the mafia. And my goal was to open casinos and make money. And I won, so I won a sore loser. But when I got done, I go, that's not war. That's Euro. And you were having fun. You were around blowing up stuff.
And I'd have to go along with that, because it is more a political struggle than it is a war. When you are even in any of these things, the government side in any of these games can often go places, do wholesale slaughter. If they find the guerrilla bands will be wiped out. Whereas the rest of it is, there's a bunch of troops there, but all I can do is hurt 2 of them.
But do the other games get more war? Because
no.
I was just like, I wanted to go at least cut off a horse head and put it in somebody's bed or something.
Here's how I
making
picture it. You have your tactical, your operational, and your strategic. I see the coin as almost the political of what war is. Right. It's showing you, like I don't think Fire in the Lake, the Vietnam version's out yet, but it's showing you what's going on from that higher level political version of why does this matter? The NV or the Viet Cong were completely destroyed in the '68 Tet Offensive. Mm-hmm. The Americans or South Vietnamese, they won really at that level. That was a disaster for the North, but not really, because their coup was in the media, and that America keeps saying this war's winding down. It sure doesn't look like it. Our embassy was just attacked and destroyed, and the VC or the Viet Cong ceased to be even a factor, but the NVA sure weren't. And that's the politics, I believe, that's kind of going on there. Where I feel this is that level.
See, there's a what's that game called? Worthington card-driven game, Hearts and Minds. It has a lot of political in it because you're measuring. I don't know if you guys have played it or not. Doves and hawks, and basically bad stuff happens. It moves the dove toward the dove direction. You get so much. That's part of your victory condition. So it's calculating in. So like every American soldier, when you take a hit, it's going to move the doves, make you want to end the war quicker. But if you take it off of the ARVN instead, that's going to make their government more likely to collapse. But at the same time, you're very much getting conflict-driven war. But anyways, just made me a little concerned in the coin series. I've been a great deal interested just because I was like, casinos and monies. That's just, there's nothing war about.
Okay,
it was good mechanics, but I was just in there saying, wow, this felt like I was playing a Martin Wallace game.
Okay.
We've opened.
I guess you're right.
It's all valid.
There's one side in all of the games that basically their winning is ending up with the most toys.
Okay.
There's other people engaged in the conflict that are interested in keeping it stable, keeping it unstable, and somebody just wants to pick up the pieces when it's done.
And that's really the system's balancing mechanic.
Right.
So, which is intriguing.
That's no disrespect toward Martin Wallace. I like automobile, few acres, stuff like that, but it just didn't feel war enough.
Okay, my number 3 introductory game is Washington's War. It's a card-driven war game. It's a sequel to We the People, which was the first card-driven war game.
No, it wasn't. Didn't you read last week's comments? I'm kidding.
What was?
No, up front. Okay, I kid. I kid.
Okay. This game, it's a good introductory game because the mechanics are a point-to-point political control. So it's kind of like Go. I mean, some people, you could even almost look at it like checkers. You want your little discs in the right places out there, but it's all keyed to, you want control of colonies. You've got cards that let you don't have a big decision tree. You've got 7 cards, but each card can only do one thing. So you don't have a decision tree. You just plan, what am I going to do with these 7 cards? So I think this is a good introductory game for the whole card-driven, even for the little CDG, little card-driven game genre, where you're trying to use your cards against one person to complete the map. So Washington's War is my number 3 introductory war game.
The thing that was always so cool on that was that was the first game I saw that really used the military to make political objectives. And you got to figure, too many players that get into the first time, they just want to be the British and want to go smack somebody. And like, go ahead and smack me. I'll just retreat, or I'll take my one combat.
But you only do that once, right?
Yeah, and then you'll lay 4 or 5 combat markers out there, or 3, I guess, 1, 2, or 3. But okay, my number 2 is Mercury Market Garden, published Worthington Games, 2012. Michael Reinell, a second game of his on it. One of my favorite designers, you can probably tell.
You've been talking about this.
Yes. It's 2 games in one, double-sided map. One is Operation Mercury, where the Germans did the airborne assault on Crete. The other is Operation Market Garden, the Allies' airborne invasion into Holland. Bridge Too Far, if you've seen the movie. It uses the battle combat system also that he introduced in Anzio Casino. Here's how good this is. This was my 14th Vassal module I made. When I make a Vassal module for a game, that's always a good. That means I want to play it more. I'm not getting to play it enough. If I make a Vassal module, I can get more plays. And the only reason it was 14 is because the map was really big, and I had a hard time figuring out how to scan the map and get it into Vassal. Once I broke through, boom, it went straight to the top. Very easy. Each game has 4 pages of rules. But if you get the game, get on Board Game Geek and get the living rules. It has a 5th page where he fleshes it out a little more. He was kind of strung into 4. It needed a little bit more explanation. But real simple system, but at the same time, I mean, I knew nothing about Mercury when I started this game. So as I was working with them on it a lot on the order of battle, which is spot on. There's a comment about it not being whatever. I got on the wiki that was suggested, and it's right there. It's all right there. And I've been playing the Avalon Hill one too, and they line right up.
I'm sorry, the Avalon Hill one what?
They Assault on Crete, like 1977.
Okay.
So I was studying both of them, but there's so much in there. The little nuances for such a simple rule set, such as the Allies having control of the sea and the Germans having the air power. Lots of things with how you supply your airborne troops, and the objectives there. You got to get those bridges and rush the 30th Corps up there to save the Red Devils. So it's all right there, and very easy system. It feels almost like area impulse because each turn has 4 impulses within it. But real slick system, and like I said, real easy. If you want an introductory operational level, this doesn't mean you're playing the whole war and you're not playing a single battle. This was a series of multiple bridges they were trying to conquer in Market Garden. This is one of the best operational intro series I've ever seen. Great Blast, Mercury, Market Garden, my number 2.
We've got to play the Mercury version. That's always intrigued me because the Germans broke their airborne unit at Crete.
Yeah,
so
they showed everybody how effective they can be, but man, they took some horrific casualties.
Yeah. Sorry, that really got me. All right, Conflict of Heroes, and I've just put Storms of Steel on there, the curse version, because it's got a bunch of cool tanks. A lot of people when they're coming in, when they think battles in World War II, or especially with Russia, they're thinking tanks. So I don't go with Awakening the Bear. I love Conflict of Heroes system. I can teach it in 5 minutes. It's real intuitive on that. It's tactical level. It's got a specific scenario. I can pick a very fun scenario like what you're talking about, and I'll even take the side that's more disadvantaged unless that person wants them because they've always wanted to play X, unit or whatever. Or they love the T-34 or whatnot. And usually I'll give them the Russians just because they usually have the numbers. And it doesn't hurt so bad if they rush straight out of, Panzer or something like that. That's what the Russians did. So I love this system. The only thing, please, Mr. Eichert, get these other systems out. I think this is one of the best tactical systems out there. But the folks that love them are just begging for them to be released. I do hear that Guadalcanal is supposed to be coming soon. First Men In is the airborne version. It's supposed to be coming as a Kickstarter soon. So I think this system needs lots of different theaters to operate in and to really catch on again.
See, and that concerns me. Is a game not good enough unless it's got expansions?
I just want more. I love it. I still like Awakening the Bear. I have Kursk. Which is the Conflict of Heroes. I always call it Curse, Storms of Steel. Okay. And then the Polish one is out, 1939. So to me, it's just wanting to play in those different sandboxes.
So do people, one of the things, I always go back to this, one of the things in Advanced Squad Leader is that you have the rules and other people develop scenarios to go with those rules with varying degrees of historicity. Does that happen here?
There is some of that. There were some complaints actually with Storms of Steel, and I believe I got my memory right on this. He'd had several different people make scenarios for it, thinking that would make them different, and they all kind of came in the same. Whereas he's had other ones where the designers designed several missions and made sure that, hey, this one's going to have this feel, this one's going to have this feel, and they've been different yet historical. Because there was some complaints with Storms of Steel that there was less choice because you started in contact with each other, and now we're just doing this rather than I'm going to enter from this side of the map and swing left. Or I'm going to enter everything down the middle and punch you.
They made the same kind of scenario.
Yes, they made them right on top of each other, and there were some complaints. Now the good thing is Mr. Eichert will continue to have ones available online. There's more than I think I could play. But if I wanted to focus on it, I like the different sandboxes.
Completist.
If I had, I do.
This isn't being a completist because you want something that doesn't even exist.
Right, it is enough, but I love the fact that I could just, if I wanted tanks, I could get more and more tanks to come in if I wanted to play that. Awakening the Bear is much more infantry movement. The early part of Barbarossa as they come in and push into German into Russia. So
all right. Now, my number 2 game, I don't have a box for it because I don't actually own it. I have played it a lot in the past, played other people's copies. It's a game, it's still available from GMT, called Maneuver. This is a Napoleonic modular system. There are some geomorphic maps that fit together in different ways. You've got 8 nationalities, the British, French, Russians, Austrians, and it's a card system for small unit maneuver and response and combat. The reason why I think this is, a scenario takes about a half hour. It's like playing a Memoir 44 scenario on a space as big as a piece of paper. So that's, this system, there hasn't been a lot of expansions to it, but with 8 sides to choose from, you can just fight the scenario, the combats over and over and over with different people fighting different people, even the ahistorical ones. Have the Austrians fight the Russians, have the British fight the Russians. It's just a system where, and again, where I'm coming from introductory war games, is a person that hasn't played war games and you want to expose them to something that's fun and quick, and that they'll walk away thinking, I want to do this more. And I think Maneuver is one of those games, and like I said, unlike some of the games that I've got that aren't even available anymore, this one is still available from GMT, Maneuver.
And I want to make an apology on Conflict of Heroes. The Curse version is really in limited print at this point in time. It needs a reprint. However, there's many more in the Conflict of Heroes section. So I know some people get mad if they say, hey, I want that Curse one, and it's kind of going into hard to find. So I apologize for that.
Or get it to BGG Math Trade like I did.
There are places you can get it, but yeah, you'd have to hunt for it a little bit at this point in time.
My number 1 is Memoir 44. Many a grog turn their nose up to it, but even they will say this is one of the best games for getting new people introduced to war games. Richard Borg, I think 2004 is when he designed it. I would say this or Battle Cry. Either one is perfectly acceptable intro game. The reason I'm picking this one is because it is as expandable as you want it to be. Let's say you play all the scenarios in here and say, that's fun, I'd like to do some more with it. Grab the Russian one. Get the political advisor and sniper rules and mines. You can go to the Pacific and play with it. You can go to the Med, have the big tank battles. If that's not enough, you can get Overlord, link 2 of the games together and have these huge massive battles with up to 8 players. You want more maneuver, they make these deep long boards called Breakthrough. Tons and tons of expansions on this thing. If you have the sickness of completism, stay far away from this. Go Battle Cry instead. It's one box, never been expanded. The reason why is there's a campaign book. Campaign book 1 out of print. Yeah, the first one is out of print. Goes for about $150. I got lucky because my wife bought it for me right before Valentine's Day. Before on Valentine's Day, right before it went out of print. And then there's an air pack that's going for $100. The two of them together probably only worth $40 of value.
The air pack's not that good.
I kind of liked it, but it introduces a new twist. But there's a lot of just money grabs and things. The plastic set, I looked at that, I was like, seriously, I don't really need specialized plastic pieces for Finnish ski troops. I use my Germans just fine. The battle maps, I think, are a complete waste of time. 2 scenarios, $16, whatever. Well, they have pre-printed paper maps. I have a mounted board and train pieces. I'll make my own, thank you. $16 for 2 scenarios, waste.
I think I have the Stalingrad one.
Yeah. The battle cards that come with them, I have the Winter Wars. It's waste. So there's a lot of junk in this. People might disagree with me, and they have. Everybody has a different opinion on what it is and isn't waste. There's a lot of good stuff, but if you have to have everything, stay far away. You're going to pour way too much money for what you get. If you can have some discipline, this is a great system because you can just keep adding on. And I've always wished I could work with the Adobe stuff because I'd love to take all the rules and make it into one rule book. It'd be pretty sizable, especially the terrain section.
I still want you. He's always trying to tweak. One thing that keeps me out of this game is it's a little fiddly with pull the soldier off, put him on the setup. Takes way too long for me personally for what I get out of it now.
Yes, I have mine in Plano boxes, so as you remove them, you're putting your game up. Other ways of doing it, I have a block system where it's 4 sides, just like the old block, so it's real easy to see. Another one's take your Axis and Allies pieces, put 1 soldier and 3 discs underneath it. So it's a lot faster on your setup. I'm all about fast setup and takedown. I've got a lot of tricks for tight of iron.
Yeah, he's been tweaking this, and show me the tight of iron stuff. He's been tweaking this, and if he gets it to the point where you've got it, I will play this more. I don't play it as much because I don't feel like it's a great introductory, but I don't feel like I get my bang for the buck with the time on setup and tear down.
Well, tight of iron's even a bigger beast.
Yeah,
I've mastered that one too. I've got tricks on it, but yeah, the thing about it is it encourages attrition over maneuvering. Personally, I play with the house rule. If there's a marker on there, you take it, you win the game, because otherwise it's just attrition, which is why Command and Colors Ancients actually works a little better, because that is about attrition and breaking armies. So, it might not go for you, but as far as introductory, somebody's never played a war game, it's great plastic. I mean, who can't dig a toy soldier in a tank? And super easy to play. I mean, the rule book's great examples. So, yeah, it's just awesome for that. You're actually the guy who introduced me to this, although I was a seasoned war gamer by then.
Yeah, it was my number 5, your number 1. My number 1, which I think is the other one that was made you question my list, is Twilight Struggle. Its current ranking, is it still number 1 on BGG? Its current ranking is really the reason why I'm saying it's an introductory to war games. And I know some people don't peel out of Twilight Struggle and come into the war game genre. But when that game first hit, I felt like I was on the cutting edge. You'd shown it to me from GMT, and it was very different and unique to me. And when I finished playing it, I was like, wow, that captured the feel of the Cold War. I think the first time I played it with you, I kept trying to like really battle in and get some part of Europe, and that didn't really matter. All I needed was control. I didn't need to nail you there. And it was that Cold War feel of that, hey, I need my presence here, but I just need enough of my presence to send this my way, and then I'm going to go spend my resources elsewhere. And the feeling, to me, it was the feeling that, hey, this feels like the Cold War. And the way it transitions from Europe and then over into Asia and in the Middle East, and it feels like this global Cold War conflict. And I believe it brought a lot of people to GMT that normally wouldn't have been there, and then maybe they're exposed to more. And I think it also led to the innovation of, hey, war games can be a lot of things, not just hex and counter, which is, I think if I say, hey, do you want to play a war game? I think most people just think hex and counter, move this, move that, or they may think Axis and Allies or Risk even. I've had folks say Risk, and to me, those are not war games. War games are more into this Twilight Struggle, what Coin's doing, a lot of the Area Impulse, all those different things. But if I'm bringing someone new in, Twilight Struggle it gives you the feeling of, hey, this is the Cold War. I was shocked it could be done so well.
Okay, so my response to that is, then would you say that Puerto Rico or Agricola are the best introductory Euros because they were number 1?
Burn that bridge and
No,
get it
and
over with.
I'm not saying it's just because I didn't put it on my list number 1 because it's number 1 on the Geek.
Okay.
I am pointing to the fact that because it's number 1 on the Geek, I'm saying that it almost justifies my placing at number 1 because it's brought over people that I don't think were even. I mean, that game had that slow burn. It started in the war game area, and war gamers were saying, this is cool. I remember you saying, hey, this is really interesting. And this tug of war on the points track is interesting. And then it slowly broke out of the war game era, and people recognized it for what it was. If you want to play the Cold War, that is the seminal game for it.
And then this is similar to what I said about 1775. The problem with this that I have with this as a beginner war game is Twilight Struggle, more than any of the other card-driven games, I think is very sensitive to knowing what's in the deck.
Very much so.
So the first time somebody plays it, you can't help but I see Japan. Japan is right next to it's big, it's important. I need to put some pieces in there, and then you find out, there's a card there that would have given me control of Japan, and I could have done something else. And that I know I've just started teaching somebody online, and that thing happening kind of left a bad taste in his mouth.
Why, and well, De Gaulle, it burned me. I hate De Gaulle.
Yeah.
Not personally. But
loves
what he
you.
did to me in the game,
Right.
I was like, what? And I mean, I always recall that. But how do you explain how this is? It shocked me how it really moved through the board game community, and I think it's because it does the Cold War better than anything I can imagine. Yeah, it feels like the Cold War struggle.
Okay.
It's like you never really get to fight. You know, you're just. And he just got enough here, and then wow, we're on to this next area.
And so this kind of goes for any introductory game. If you're teaching somebody an introductory game, don't be like one of my other buddies here in town and play to win as quickly and completely as possible.
Yes.
You know, that's not the right way to teach somebody how to play a game.
Boom, boom.
It can happen here. So
can
play nice.
Yeah, and I will literally say, hey, there is a card. There's a De Gaulle card that's going to come
but you
up.
can't do that. You can't do that with all 100 of them.
No, you can't. But but it was weird. Even though De Gaulle happened to me, I think on the first game, I was like, ooh. But then as I played, I thought, God, I want to do this again.
And that's the right thing. As long as and that's the thing. There aren't a lot of kill cards that'll break and destroy the game. There's just things that happen where, I didn't need to do this because this was going to happen anyway.
The way the scoring comes up is so you know it's coming, but you don't know exactly when. How you play the order of it. It has to be played multiple times.
Right. So go ahead.
Well, it's funny on your point. The first two card-driven games I played was We the People and Twilight Struggle. Bubs taught it to me. And I thought, these things are great. So I went out and ordered For the People and Empire of the Sun, which is big jump.
Right.
So I can see it being introductory to card-driven games. I actually considered, I kept mine all on, these are just beginner games for non-war gamers. But if I considered doing the genre thing, I did have what I consider the best area impulse. I thought about this, but part of what killed it for me is when I got to card-driven games, I said in my book the two easiest ones are Labyrinth and Twilight Struggle, and I don't consider either one of them a war game. I mean, sorry, I'm not a minority at this table. My thing is, if going to war makes you lose the game, it's not a war game. So, great game though, but that's why I kept it away. And I was like, okay, I'm at Hearts and Minds now for my third easiest one. No, I'm not going there. I'll just do this other thing instead. But yeah, I can see where if you're into card-driven games, what I consider the true CDG Mark Kermit style, this or Washington's War, and this is actually easier because Washington's War gets pretty detailed with those political control. It was a bit of a jump. It took me a couple of plays to get a feel for the new political control rules.
Okay. So first of all, before we finish this, because I'm going to get to my number one game, before we finish this, I want to pay props to Risk, Stratego. I mean, those games, and anybody, they were the introductory war games probably for anybody from my generation, probably anybody from your generation. Mm-hmm. If, playing those is the reason I'm playing the games I play today.
Yes.
So
yes.
I want to, I play a lot of Advanced Squad Leader because I played a lot of Stratego.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the opposite. Risk, to me, I was on the little group that Risk killed it for me because it was like, wow, really, that game takes forever and all you do is just throw dice all the time. When I got Battle of the Bulge, I'm like, whoa, this is a whole new way of looking at things.
Absolutely. It was a whole new way of looking at things, but...
Yeah, it was 1960.
I want to say...
Stratego, I'm probably in 6th grade or 5th grade, and I'm like, wow, the hidden movement. It's like early block movement.
Right.
And where am I going to put a bomb?
And no, I mean, it's not going to keep you, it's not going to be something, it's not going to keep you satisfied for a long time.
Which is what leads to...
It's what led to this, so I want to pay my props to that.
Yep.
Now, as far as my number one game, can I borrow your box?
Well, the other thing was, on mine is kind of like whenever you're trying to tell somebody about Euros, and they're like, isn't that like Monopoly? Because Monopoly has killed gaming for them. And it's like, no, these are really a lot better. They're so much more interesting. They play fast.
They are, but anybody that's played Monopoly...
Well, I know, but I know so many people that have been burned on games.
The gateway to Euros.
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Life. I think they all lead.
They all had a purpose, and the fact that I played them is why I'm playing more and better games today. My number one, again, it's the whole memoir, battle lore, battle cry, Command and Colors Ancients, Command and Color Napoleonics, that whole system. I think these are excellent learner games. They are excellent to introduce people. You know, you've got a couple of things you can do. You know that there's a target out there. You see trees, you see what your pieces are. You got your little plastic soldiers or your little plastic cannons. I think these are great. The only thing I would add to what Judd was saying before is I think these are good games on their own. I don't think for a good introductory game, you shouldn't be worried about what are the next expansions you're going to need. I would have been perfectly happy when the original Squad Leader came out with just its 12 scenarios. I played those 12 scenarios over and over and over because every time I played them, they were different. And these all do come with multiple scenarios. So don't, I agree with what Judd said. Don't try to be a completist, but I'd even go to when you're thinking about an introductory game, don't think about, and what's the second one in the series I can buy? Appreciate it for what it is. My number one is Richard Borg's system.
Yeah, I will see guys who get on this, play it, and enjoy it, and then get on and say, yeah, I bought these 4 expansions. I'm like, no, just buy one. Play through it. Enjoy it. You'll get a lot more enjoyment playing one at a time and seeing if you like it. You may burn out on it after the second one and say, okay, I'm ready for ASL, which is funny because what you said is exactly why I never got an ASL. I have Squad Leader, and I'm happy. I stopped there and was like, I don't need anything else. That was my Avalon Hill fix.
All right. Well, there you go. We had some real good discussion on that. Hopefully this is some good introductory stuff for you. I can tell you, Judd doesn't go to cons yet, but if you see Greg or I, and
I'll be at Geekway in St. Louis in the month of May. I'll be at WBC in Lancaster, Pennsylvania in August. And I'll be down at BGG-Con in November.
I will just be at BGG-Con. He's retired, although you went to all those before you
Yes,
retired.
I did.
So that doesn't matter. I'm just busy. So, but yeah, you see us, you want to play, I'll teach you.
Absolutely. I'm happy to teach.
And I wanted to throw one last thing out. I know we're going long, but war gamers are the most friendly generally for wanting to teach people. It's usually a very close personal thing between two people sitting down and playing. And I know there's always the exceptions, but I've nothing against Eurogamers, but I've had Eurogamers be much more rude to me during a game if I made a bad move or something, whereas wargamers are very inviting. Come on over. They usually really want you into that system that they're playing, that I found out. Do you disagree? Or, I know there's some odd
not that they are good. I haven't had many experiences where other genre gamers are bad.
Only with some of the hardcore Euro games that I've played where I've run into it. Puerto Rico was probably the worst, where if some people know the system, and if you do something where you don't take that, or if that person played that, you must do this.
Oh, well.
And I've had a few bad experiences, but I've always found wargamers to be they just really want to teach you their system. And I'm not saying they're all perfect at doing that, but I've always seen them, because it's so dependent on having somebody else, that I've seen them to be very welcoming.
Yeah, I made the Empire of the Sun 24 vassal logs that teach you, and that's the hardest game I've ever played. But the thing was, I want people to know how to play this, because a lot of guys haven't said, man, this thing's a beast. Right. So I've tried to do that, and I'd like to do more of them, like campaign commander and stuff to help. But I always joke that we're really just like the drug dealers. You're the first ones on me.
Well, not to pat you too much on the back, but really you being in our board game group exposed me back into, I played the old Avalon Hills, and then I moved into the Ticket to Rides and all that whole Euro craze and the Ameritrash. And I honestly think that I probably wouldn't have stepped back into some of the new war games, maybe a few, if you hadn't been there. You exposed me to a lot of stuff, and you're a great teacher and all those kind of things, that it started to bring me back into that probably in, 2008 or so.
Okay.
So,
yeah, up front, Napoleonic War, the whole Plaza Glory system, all taught to me by Greg.
All right. So,
anybody that wants to talk about anything like that, I'm on Board Game Geek. He's Eric Judden. I'm GS in KS.
And I'm Armed Medic. So, look us up. See you guys. Thanks.
Adios.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.